Live show. This is Hollywood Mike Connelly with the double biceps. It is in the contract and legal requirement every single time we appear on camera. We're just going to make sure that we see one bicep there and the other one is right there. It is very important that everyone sees that. I definitely did not make that up just so I could show off my biceps at the start of every single show. It wasn't anything like that at all. It's in the fine print, very small writing. Very excited about today's show. We have some amazing guests in. Everyone here was part of the MAC event that ran a couple of weeks ago. And in Carnegie, one of the masterminds behind the changes that's happening in arm wrestling. With that, we're getting the gun show from Ian. The forearm was flexed as well. I never flexed the forearm because I just stick with the bicep. That's all the contract required. But Ian must have a forearm clause in his as well. We've got the Savage John Terrier as well. He's jumped in and looking fresh and chipper and clean shaven and ready to go. We've also got Matthias here as well, the guru, the man who knows everything and anything that's happening in the world of arm wrestling, and JJ Jackson, of course. So great to have you on the show as well. And there we go. Look at that. We got the tattoo forearm flex going.
Now I'm mad I put a hoodie on because you can't see the guns.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, absolutely. So, Ian, first impressions, Mac 2, I got to say, and I did this in the review, that are so pleased that we're seeing people trying new things with the sport of arm wrestling. And the table designs, the rule changes, the setup differences. I love the fact that you guys are doing so many different things to what everyone else is doing. And how is that working out for you?
Well, I mean, I'll speak on how I see it, and of course my partners are here as well. Andrea's busy doing stuff there, so she isn't able to attend. But for me, our goal is basically to get the game going quicker. I think a lot of people would agree with that. The sport stagnates a lot, and it takes 8 hours to get 13 matches going, and it's just not something that I could see TSN, ESPN, Eurosport putting on. Like, you can't be twice as long as the Super Bowl for an arm match, right? Like, or arm wrestling event. So, there's a lot of pros to the way we do things in terms of getting everything condensed. Is there some cons? Yeah, of course. Like, if you're a ninja hand fighter and you don't like the straps and you just want to be a guy who manipulates the referees, manipulates the setup, and all those things that we say are like the martial art of the sport, then we're probably not for you. But if you're like, okay, I know when I get to the table, the referees are going to be as fair as possible. My webbing is going to be aligned properly. The strap is going to be aligned properly. And, the referee has a hold of my wrist. So what is good for the goose is good for the gander. And you just say, close your thumbs, close your hands, go. And I get to rock. Then come join us, because you will get to arm wrestle. And, when you look at it, we have 3 fouls plus a running warning system. So it's very difficult to foul out, so most of our matches, like 90, Matthias could probably tell, I think it's like 99, like 95 and up percent that matches will end in a pin. Like, we do have guys that can't follow the rules and they foul out. It happens, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, guys know that once they're in a MAC match, just to get ready. That's the number one. I mean, we got John on here because he can actually speak on it. JJ too, but he's a puller who just experienced it. And I think the number one difference of our sport, or like the way we have our sport going, is when you get to the table, you better be fucking ready to arm wrestle, because it's happening. You're not like a first round boxing match where you guys are just touching each other for 3 minutes and fucking off. No, like, the referees get you, they touch you up, they put that strap on, they say, close your thumbs, close your hands, go. That's what I would say.
I love it. I think that's one of the key points and key elements that we were talking about this offline. But just, I want to see the arm wrestling. Like, if I'm the audience, I've come to an arm wrestling event, or bought a pay-per-view, or I've tuned in to see arm wrestling. I don't want to see 10 minutes of this and then a foul and then a restart and then another foul and then another restart. And it's like, folks, where is the arm wrestling part of this? So when you're seeing Mac, it's like you're seeing two guys walk up to the table and it's like, okay, as soon as they get this strap tied, within 5 seconds, you're going to be seeing a match and you're going to see the result. And that's what I love. It's like you start, you get a winner, and then you move on, whether or not it's continued to the next round or whether that was the end of the match. But it's fast and it's entertaining.
It makes
Yeah,
you.
what's? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it makes you foster your warrior spirit right away. There isn't like, you know what I'm saying, like when they call your name, get in the mindset that I'm about to rock really quick here. You know what I'm saying? It's not an easy. And my dog is bothering me right now. I got a big Rottweiler and he's trying to hump me. Stop it!
You have butter on
Look,
you?
Oh my gosh.
you need the.
So I'm gonna
Anyways,
I'm gonna
what I was just gonna say after what Matt had said, it's very true as a fan watching the matches. What you said. Also, as the athlete at the table, you know what I mean, as opposed to standing there for, like you said, a minute, 2 minutes, just getting set up, and your adrenaline's going, and your arm is getting pumped from being in that loaded kind of bent position for a little bit, trying to get started. A lot of the athletes really love that aspect of it too, where you just get down to business, because we've all been at the table and you're amped up, you've been looking forward to the match, you get up there and you got the adrenaline going, and you like things to move quickly. Also, I mean, you do have exceptions that where there's athletes that it almost looks like they like to prolong things, but the most of us, we want to get there, get down to business, have a fair setup like Ian said, and just rock and roll, you know what I mean? So that a lot of the athletes have appreciated that aspect of it as well. And there's a lot of people that have not seen the table in person, haven't pulled on the table in person, and they make comments, good or bad. And I don't care what you do in life or what product you make or what you're doing. Not everyone's going to love what you're doing, but we go in it with the mindset of we're just trying to improve the sport, the synergy of it, the speed of it, while still keeping the integrity of a great match and a fair fight. So there's a lot of guys that have been skeptical, and I have a lot of these tables at my club, and there's guys even at my practice who are like, "What is this crazy looking table?" Once they get on it, they realize, okay, you know what, we're still arm wrestling. My elbow's down on this pad, and I got another guy hooked up to me, and we're going at it. So, but between the rules, the table, the design, and the rule set, it just makes for a very streamlined, fun event for fans, for promoters, and for the athletes. So that's my take on it.
We have John Terry in here who actually competed in one of the best matches at the event in what some would say upset. I I agree with that statement. I think
Sorry.
yeah, I think John would admit too that, in terms of what the general population's perception was, that Brandon being a two-time um, East versus West puller and the bigger guy, and kicking everybody's ass up until recently. I think John, you would say that it was fair that people assumed that he was the favorite, right? But I knew
Yeah,
deep down
100%.
that John is. I've witnessed it. Like, when things look really bleak for John, he just pulls it out of his ass. So I knew it would be a match. I'd like to hear his perspective of it because it was his first time on a Mac table.
Yeah, so it was my first time on a Mac table. So what I was very scared about is Brandon is his strong move is to go for a press. So put his shoulder behind it. And because the size of the pads, I was honestly very scared that he would have more room to be able to press down. But honestly, as a polar, uh, compared to a normal table, I did not see much of a difference. Um, but now that I look at it, if you notice, I'm not even using the entire pad. And I think that's something that when I do pull more with the Mac table, I'll be able to use more of the area, which I'll be able to use at my advantage. Um, Yeah, a lot. I've seen a lot of comments. People are saying that what kind of pads is that, and blah blah blah. To be honest, it doesn't make much of a difference. The only thing I did not like about the table, and I've talked about it to Ian, and Ian is a very good guy about that. If there is something opinions, he takes it very lightly. Is the front of the pad. I think he should put a little bit more stitching, just so the athletes know when their elbow goes off the front of the pad, because it happened a few times where I didn't even notice across the pad. So that's one thing that he's looking to fix. But overall, I felt like I was on a normal table, but the only difference is there was less screw around during the match. It was just straight go and right to the battle. So I think overall, I like the setup. I think Mac has a bright future, and I think it's going to fire up pretty soon.
We're just seeing your handiwork here on the
Yeah,
table,
yeah.
and you're looking pretty confident there. You've got the second pin. What were you thinking after this at this point? I mean, look at the smile you've got on the face there. It's a very confident. You know what's going on here. You've got control. It
So
looks like a lot of side pressure is what you're implementing here.
yes, my side pressure. So my goal coming into Brandon's match was, again, not to let him put his shoulder behind his arm. So I was applying back pressure when I was kind of loading up before the goal, and then after the goal happened, then I went all side pressure. I noticed that after the first round that his wrist was the weakness. So then what I just did is just attack his finger, attack his pronation, and then eventually that worked out in my favor. The last round, you'll notice that there was 2 elbow fouls on Brandon the last round. Those were done on purpose to try to get the match reset. Just because it's super hard. It's super hard to even do that, to lift your elbow on purpose to elbow foul. So this table is, like I said, it's next to impossible to elbow foul. So, but in this case, he elbow fouled twice, tried to burn me out, and I did lose my hand on the last round. You'll see it. But I knew I could hold him all day. So it was a good match for me. I came in ready, and it worked out.
So, John, do you want to hear what we are adjusting the elbow pads changes we're doing?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we addressed you said that you couldn't tell if you were getting into the warning, like coming off. So we're going to make that a double thickness, so that there's
Mm-hmm.
some sort of lip there, but not enough that someone can use it as to pry. But it'll
Or rep
be
his elbow.
there'll be enough friction that you'll know that it's there. The other thing is the material itself is going to be not a stretchy material. It's going to be so they explained that they use something that has what flex in it, and that's not what we
Okay.
wanted. But they didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize that it's their first time building an arm wrestling table, so they're going to go to a different material, so it won't bunch as much. And we are going to we're going to retract the distance, like, so it's 10 by 9.5. And if you look at your guys' setup, you guys are
Mm-hmm.
almost straight vertical, which is kind of odd, right? That means the elbows are too close
Mm-hmm.
to each other. So we're gonna make it 10 by 9.5. Or sorry,
Mm-hmm.
10 by 9.
10 by 9.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which works. Like a lot of people say there's advantage to Kings movers. Absolutely not. This is
No
an awful
way.
table for Kings movers. Just because of the incline of the sides. It's very, like, this table is not made for Kings movers.
No.
And then I see a lot of comments where people are saying it advantage top rollers, and then some others advantage for the hookers. To be honest, I find the odds of the new table is equal for everyone. If you know how to use the table, which I wasn't using all the table, but I'm a straight drag side guy, it benefits me. If you're a top roller, there's more room to go all the way back. If you're a presser, again, you have more room to slide your elbow forward. So it doesn't really beneficiates more to one style or the other. So I think those comments are just useless.
It's always people that haven't pulled, never on the table, never seen it, or just don't like what we're doing. A lot of people make comments like, "Why are you reinventing the wheel? Why are you fixing something that ain't broke?" I've been in the sport for 20 years. This year makes my 20th year in the sport, and I can tell you, it was never fixed. Like I came into this complaining, like, why is I come from a pro wrestling family where entertainment is like a big deal, you know? And I was like, this is more like golf, where be super respectful. You know what I mean? Don't get out of character too much. And then finally, we're building characters like yourself, John. Like you're entertaining as hell. That's why I remember. I don't know. After your match, I did that still shot, and I kept zooming into your face. Did you end up seeing that video?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how legends are made. Like
Mm.
seriously, you didn't just win; you entertained. You know what I mean?
So
And
that's just a personality I have, win or lose. Even if you look at matches that I do lose, um, I do have a smile on my face. It's not me being cocky. Sometimes it's just literally a poker face. If I act like I'm just having a good day, and then the guy looks at me like I'm having a good day, it's gonna crush them inside. So I'm just a happy person, and whatever works.
JJ, what was your first impressions when you got onto a Mac table?
Well, that was quite a while ago, and I didn't have a long 20-year history like Ian on tables. I'm just at my 2-year mark in the sport. And a year into it is when I started working with Ian and his table. So I'm kind of on board with what John is saying. To me, um, it doesn't when you're in the heat of the moment in the battle, it doesn't feel like you're like it's different. There are aspects that are different, and it benefits the speed of the match. But the feel of the table, they're very solid. It's they you don't have any wobbly pads that are like tipping up if they're not screwed in, and it's just a very nice, high quality feeling table. So you do have a little bit more room, like the guys are saying. But overall, the table, myself and 99% of the guys in my club had a really good reaction to the feel of the table, the movement on the table, trying different moves and different styles. So, overall, besides the really, aesthetic professional look of the table, it feels great. The handle is solid, and everything is built very well. And the tables have been, even though there's been 7 or 8 versions of the table from the beginning, they've felt like this makes sense. You know what I mean? Like this seems better than flopping off a tiny pad, and a lot of reasons it just felt more ergonomic to what you're doing. So that's kind of how my first take of that table was.
so
Yeah, so you go in.
And I'm just gonna add one thing, Ian. Uh, it's one of the only events that I've ever seen where there was. I've talked to all the other pollers. There was no excuses made about the refs or the match, or there was no excuses at all. So that just tells me, because of the rules are more relaxed. You don't need to be literally square to the table looking all creepy, and like you can start in you start in the straps, revs grip every time. So it cancels all, sorry my language, it cancels all the bullshit, all the excuses. Oh, the refs said go or didn't close my
Yeah, the
it
refs the
was
refs
there.
pushed my shoulder. Right.
No, exactly. So there was no excuses, which I really like, because usually you always hear at least one or two people whining, oh, I got screwed, but I did not hear that this time. So
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good
Ian,
point. It's a good point.
what-
I heard the same thing. Everyone was happy and stuff, but I didn't know, like, how obviously JJ, Matthias, Andrea, and I were the owners, so I don't think people are generally going to be like, "Oh yeah, that was shit." You know what I mean? It might. So it's good that we heard it from a guy like John, who, like, it's weird that you even thought to think about that. Do you know what I mean? It's because yeah, it's true. I've never been to an event where someone didn't complain about some aspect of the event and or an in match fuckery. You know, like I mean, I barely had my hands closed. He said go, like that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like even if it did happen, no one was complaining about it. So you know, nobody's perfect. Pullers aren't perfect. Refs aren't perfect. We're not even perfect within our own. Like this is our second event. Like we're gonna get better, guys. You know what I'm saying? And if this is the standard in which we're achieving right now, could you imagine what the future will be?
Oh, absolutely. Can you, for the audience that hasn't seen Mac, well, shame on you, firstly, but you can go and check it out on Facebook and YouTube. You guys are all over the place. And as you saw, there was an amazing match there with John Terrian and Brandon L. Cecil that is up on YouTube now. But the differences in the setup, where you were allowing people to start slightly bent, as opposed to having to be completely fixed and bringing hands back and that sort of thing. There was a few particular rules that were very different to the other organizations. Do you want to just highlight some of those for people who haven't seen Mac before?
You want me to do it or JJ or Matthias?
Oh, maybe Matthias, if you want to have a.
I mean,
Ian's probably the rules expert, or JJ too.
Yeah, Ian is the expert on the rules. Not trying to put everything on Ian, but he is just from his experience in arm wrestling and the other rules. You know, he'd be the one to say what the difference is here.
Okay, can I? I'll start by understand that I'm going to talk about the gripes that I had with traditional arm wrestling, and then I'll give you the mindset as to why I changed things. Okay. Well, when I first got in, I mean, Matt, how long have you been in the sport for?
6 years.
Okay, so these changes had happened, you know, before you got in. All right. So when I got into the sport, the table was the same height as it is now, and a rectangle, but the pads were straight across from each other, and the pin lines were exactly that. They were like the like this, like this, you know,
String.
straight strings, right? They weren't canted. Everybody arm wrestled where their arm was super straight, their wrist was super straight. I actually didn't have a huge problem with that. Okay, I was like, okay, whatever. I didn't know any better anyway, and it sounded like, you know. But then they decided to fuck with the table. Okay, and rules were not as strict. I felt like people. I felt like I could arm wrestle more, and that the little bobs were let go. You know what I mean? I think they used to say no advantage game. We're not calling it, which meant a lot of times guys were bobbing and they just let it go. Okay. Which made it was common sense back then. But then they said, look, there's too many arm breaks. Maybe it's because the arms are super straight and everything. Let's cant the pads, because the natural lie of the arm is like this, right? Like, so let's push the pad to the right, and then we'll switch it to the left. Do you get what I mean by the canted offset, right? And then they changed the pin pads to work that way, thinking that this would help reduce arm breaks, but they never changed the size of the pad. It remains 7x7. And then, so I was like, okay, so that means you can start like this. They're like, no, you have to be straight. And then that blew my mind. I'm like, why the fuck would you switch the pads to ask them to do the exact same fucking thing? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
When I'm like, look at this, the lie of this pad, right? It's clear that if I put my elbow on the far right of my right pad, and you put your elbow, and then we in the center, our arms are going to be like this. It's impossible not to. You know what I mean? So why would they do that? And it never reduced any arm breaks. That, like, in fact, from what I was told, the very first tournament or national that they did in Canada, when they had the there was actually 2 arm breaks.
Wow.
Okay. So first of all, I agree with the natural lie of the arm. I don't understand why we have to make contort our body so this is like perfectly, you know, if I grab you center, I think it helps keep us together. Even if you take the straps out of the equation, if I'm like this and you're like this, that natural, that first go, the pressures are more suited. Like I'm pulling towards me and you're pulling towards you. We're likely going to stay together better than if we're forced to do this fucking. We all seen this, right? Straighten it out, and they do that. Who on what planet is that straight?
It's good for flop pressing.
You know what I'm saying? It's like they're putting you in a fucking flop wrist press and like, what are you doing? Oh, it's got to be straight this way. Then put the fucking pads straight like that then. Do you get what I mean? So
Oh yeah.
my frustration was with that, like change the rules but make no adjustments to the way they play. So then I'm like, you know what? And then when the freedom thing, like I was the first guy, I believe this to be true, when I started MLA, Major League. I went to 8x8 pad, and that was if you ever want to see the match between Tim Bresnan and Devin Larratt, where they went to 7 rounds, that was on my table, my new table, 12 with the 8x8 pads. And people were like, oh, that shouldn't even count because that wasn't on a WAF standard 7x7. I'm like, oh yeah, that shouldn't count. One of the best super matches of all time shouldn't have counted because the pad was 8x8. But now East versus West is 8.25, is it not, Matt?
I'm not sure if they've increased the size. I thought it was still 7x7.
No, a king of the table I think is 7x7, but I believe East versus West is 8x8. I'll have to find out more, but someone told me it was very, very big. And then but then I was like, the freedom.
To be honest, I'll just add, if you can't win because of an inch difference, just get stronger. That's such bullshit excuses.
Yeah, well, whatever. But the point, what I was getting at, the playing surface is actually the safer your arm is going to be. When people were complaining about freedom, they're like, "Oh my God, people are going to be breaking their arms." And I've never seen an injury, not even a hangnail on a freedom table. Okay, and if you look at the Japanese sumo, Japanese arm sumo, it is basically freedom. They report next to no injuries. And the truth is, as soon as you start feeling pain, you have a shit ton of room to release that pressure so you don't break your arm, right? So my thought was, hey, let's get the pads really big so you can have a lot more movement, a lot more moves, and it's safe. The other thing is, people, it must be better for King's moves. Well, our pin pad is actually 3 inches high from the elbow pad. So try having a straight arm and not be pinned on. You get what I mean? When there's a full inch, you see what I'm saying? Like if you have a straight arm, and my training partner is a King's mover, left-handed, and I told him, I said, it's not going to work for you. I said, try it and see what's up. He's like, no, I'll stop high. Okay. And then, Chris Doucette and Slim put his arm straight and it was a pin. You get what I mean? And that's why if you've seen any of these the debates on the King's move, I just put Mac table mic drop. Because like if everybody really hates the King's move, go to this style and you never see it again. Like you'll see open arm top rolls, and I still think guys like Michael Todd will be able to, but as soon as you start dipping or your arm is straight, you're pinned. You know what I'm saying? So the rule set that we went with was, I mean, I came from a camp, like my original team, it was the Ottawa High Hookers, and we pretty much perfected all the cheating in the straps, cheating and manipulation and grip. So, and I bought right into it, but then I was like, I personally don't. I just want to know who fucking is stronger with the moves that actually exist, right? So to me, I built a rule set that's like, all that fuckery's done. Let's just see what actually happens when you line up the webbing, when you put the strap on fair, when everybody's got the exact same grip, and let's just see who's actually a better arm wrestler, not a better cheater. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're just seeing footage here of the table, some lovely cinematic panning shots. I thought it would help to highlight the look of the table for anyone who hasn't seen it yet.
That's an old version, actually. That's like generation 5 or 6 or something like that. We're up this new table, like even this new table has we're changing the elbow pad slightly, so that's like table design number 9. But yeah, like the running warning system. Okay, so in a running foul system, it's kind of demoralizing, right? You're like, oh, you gotta win on your foul just to earn your foul and a restart. That's kind of shit. Okay, but if you're in a running warning system, so like John was saying, he couldn't really feel that he was in the warning area, but you have to use your ears. The ref will tell you warning. So if you just believe him, I'm warning, so I get back on. Now, if I get back to the playing surface, right, I'm live. I can still win that. That's a better incentive. Do you get what I mean? So,
yeah, you're not restarting the entire match as well.
No, exactly. So you pin the guy, that's a live pin. Every foul. So if you get 2 warnings, it's a stop foul. And people say, "Oh, I love that you allow micro fouls." I'm like, no, we don't actually allow micro fouls. It's just not a foul. And the purpose of the dip is to have a distance between elbow pad and the top of the table, and that is 1 inch. So you have 3/4 of an inch to play, right? So if you bob, that is not, we're letting fouls go. That's just not a foul. So if you have a micro foul in MAC, it's a stop foul because we've given you 1 inch. If you can't keep your elbow below 1 inch, it's a stop foul. Because at that point, if 1 inch and above can be dangerous, right? Because if I go up 1 inch and then come down on somebody, that's an unfair advantage.
Let me just say that Craig Tullier will adore this table.
Yeah. Well, I saw your list of people on your target deck just before I got on the show, and there's somebody that put on your list that put you on their target deck, so I don't think it'll be too difficult to make that match.
Ooh, Mac 3 maybe.
Maybe.
Matthias, how did you get involved in setting up with Mac and all that side of things?
Yeah, actually, I think the introduction came through Jody, Devin's wife. Yeah. She essentially told me one day that Ian's doing something cool, and she's like, oh, you might want to get involved with this. Like, oh, I'll set you guys up. And then, I reached out to Ian, and he explained to me all the stuff about the table, and then we started start planning away on how we're going to execute on an event. And I have a lot of camera equipment, all kinds of junk, so we just started going from there.
And how did you feel with the production side of things for the most recent event?
I think it was good for the most part. There's some issues, I think, still. And most of that's going to get addressed by the next one. So like the biggest one is the audio. Like the commentators were like talking over the refs at the table and whatnot. And it's because they didn't have a proper monitoring system. So for the next one, the commentators will have monitors, so they'll hear what's going on at the table. And normally I like to have a shotgun mic like right in the middle, like down from the table, because the ceiling height and the way things were set up, the shotgun mic at the back was kind of tilted toward the audience a little bit, and it caught too much audience noise. So we didn't use that audio input too much. Excuse me, but we had some mics on the refs, so those mics were what was picking up the table audio for the most part.
Yeah,
I mentioned one thing. I mentioned one thing to Ian from other productions that I've seen. They put a mic on the polars, just for the simple reason when they do go in their corner, you can the public can hear and understand what the plan is for the next round. So I think that's a very important thing to add. But besides that, I find the production was very good.
Yeah, and I thought of that too, like putting the mics on the guys. The issue is we just didn't have anybody there to do the miking up it. Because we kind of like it wasn't until like almost we went live and we realized the shotgun mic wasn't going to get the audio we wanted. But no, I think putting the mics on the guys for sure is probably the best option. Also, I'm going to get some better mics for the cameras and I want to encourage the camera guys to get closer to the guys when they're in the corner moving forward too, so we can get those better shots. And again, we have all the raw footage from everything, so we do have the audio from like the corners and all that stuff. So maybe at some point we can put that together and release some of it. But yeah, no, like better mics on the cameras, and then miking the actual athletes is probably what we're gonna do for the next show.
Absolutely.
Do you know quality of the upload though, Matt? Like if you for a YouTube video, look how clear the video is. for John.
Very good.
Are all the uploads, Matthias, the same as John's, or is John's just particularly better?
Yeah, no, all the matches that are being put up, individual matches moving forward, those are all going to be 4K 60.
Yeah, but like this 4K 60, like this prelim wasn't 4K 60 though, right?
No, the live streams we can only do 1080 at the moment.
Okay.
John,
John,
a fantastic highlight video here. MJ Stewart has put up with some behind the scenes footage and some great shots here as well.
that's my child's best friend. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he's a 6'6" black guy, and he was all in hockey attire.
Oh,
Boston.
really?
Yeah, MJ's great.
Yeah. And he's going to be doing a lot of stuff like this forward as soon as we get. How many gigs or how many hours of footage that were you able to have with all 8 cameras going, Matthias?
Altogether? Oh, geez. How long was the full thing? Roughly 7 hours times 6.
60 hours worth of stuff, probably.
Yeah, we've got a lot of footage. Yeah.
Yeah. So Matt, even no matter like, so say the one camera is shooting live, right? It, most productions, that's all you'll ever see is whatever is actually on the table. But in Matthias has a switchboard where everything is recording at the same time all the time. So we can edit videos, like we could redo John's match with complete different angles and perspectives.
Yeah. The only thing is time. Time's the limiting factor on that.
No, I'm just
Yes. And Matthias, you're gonna have to do that by the end of today and have it uploaded.
Where's that gun? Ian, pass me the gun.
But you can see here. I mean, this is obviously he's behind the scenes footage, but it's still the production. You can see the quality of everything that is there. You've got the table looks fantastic. You got the great lighting. You had the mics on the referees. All the athletes looking good in their shirts, and that's one of those things is that uniformity that you want from your athletes when they're competing, because not only on the day do they look professional and it looks like it's part of your promotion, but all of the footage and all the photos and everything that comes out forever is going to feature that quality of appearance for the athlete. It is always strange to me when people sort of rock up to an event where it's a big promotion, a lot of money being spent on it, and they're wearing a singlet that's got holes in it and half, an old pair of track pants and food stains on it, and it's like, oh man, you're the main event here. Like,
See, I was nice enough to wear my black Lululemon pants. So.
Yeah. You forgot to mention the sparkles and the smoke machines too. Like, hey, like
I know you owe me a new pair of pants and burnt my pants on the way out.
You've got Lululemon imprinted on your leg forever now.
Burned right in.
Your money is actually going to be delivered to you very soon. The extra stuff from the pay-per-view. Isn't that correct, Matthias?
Yeah, that'll be sent out tonight.
There you go.
Awesome.
It takes a bit, like when we do. So I don't know if you know this, Matt, but aside from pay that John got as soon as he got there, as soon as I see the guys, they do their weigh-ins, I hand them an envelope. Okay, so whatever was agreed on, but because John, sold pay-per-views, we can tell when Matthias goes through, we can see who used John's promo code, and then we just tally that up and we split the profits in half and we give him his half. And so it's an incentive for the athletes to sell the pay-per-view. But it takes time, right? Like I don't know, Matthias, you want to talk about why it takes so fucking long to get credit card money?
Yeah, and well, it's like the payment processors have to approve it, and then I essentially have to send it to, like in the Canadian athlete's case, it all comes out to an American bank account, and then the American bank account have to transition to the Canadian one, and then I have to send them all out manually. So, but I'm actually working on something to automate the whole thing. So in the future, that's going to be a lot quicker.
You put it all on
Yeah, but
black at the casino, don't lie.
Oh, hold on, what's that? Yeah,
Oh, I'm black.
yeah.
You're just working on getting it back tonight. It'll be tonight, definitely.
Yeah. But no,
I'm pretty sure John had the most buys too on his code. So that was awesome.
Yeah, John and Daniel did too. There was a few people that were up there, but I think John probably did sell them. But the fact that we have an American partner also helps because, like in Canada, we have this thing called an e-transfer, right? So if I want to send you money, email, right, and then I can attach from my bank account whatever money I'm going to send you, and boom, it'll go right into your bank account. The Americans don't have that; they have different apps and stuff. But
you forgot though, our money's not really worth anything. That's why they can do it so fast.
I was just gonna say I would rather JJ sending me money because it would be USD.
Yeah,
I'll hook you up, John.
It's got to go through Trudeau first, doesn't it? He has to approve all incoming money.
Oh, that motherfucker!
That's right. Yeah.
Matt, don't Matt, don't.
Watch.
Yeah, dude, we love that guy. He's the greatest. He's amazing.
Yeah,
best leader ever.
Let's
He's
talk
got the best
politics right here.
reputation of all world leaders.
Watch. As soon as we get a conservative prime minister, our dollar will go right through the roof. I'm telling you, it is in my lifetime in the 2000s. I remember when we were actually, our dollar was worth more than the Americans. It doesn't actually help our economy when it's like that. Like, yeah, we have good purchasing power, but when our dollar's too close to the Americans, they won't buy from us. You know what I mean? They'll just buy from themselves, right? But if we're like 15, 20 cents below them, then they're like, yeah, we'll buy their lumber, we'll buy whatever, because if you save a quarter on the dollar, who wouldn't want that? But we're like 40 cents below now, which is crazy.
Wow. John is popping back in. He'll be back in a sec. He's obviously just turned the camera or something. If you turn, no, he might have exited accidentally, but I'm sure he'll figure it out. We'll get him back in as soon as he pops back up. JJ, how were your thoughts on the event that ran a couple of weeks ago?
On Mac 2?
Yeah, man.
You know what? It's very humbling. I think the event, obviously everyone knows it's a lot of work behind the scenes and weeks and months leading up to it. So to, finally be the day and see everything set up and see the positive feedback and the fun that the athletes and the spectators had. It was really overwhelming in a good way. You know what I mean? The event ran smoothly. Like Ian and Matthias have said, every time we do an event, there are going to be changes to be made, improvements, something, and we're at a different venue each time. So there's different challenges with the ceiling heights and what they have accessible at the events. But overall, really good energy in the arena. And I thought it was, it went as well as it could go. We will make improvements. That's another thing. We're not, we didn't make this table and rule set and say, hey, that's it. Here we go. We have made continuous changes only for the reason to be better. And we take everything every athlete says, whether it's in a practice or in an event, like John, like Ian said, John made a suggestion, and the new versions of the table will have a little bit of a change because of some athlete feedback. So it's not like we, aren't flexible. We're constantly trying to improve and make the events the best they can be. So, but Mac 2, it was a great event. I'm I'm a fan of arm wrestling more than first. You know what I mean? Besides the fact that it was an event I was involved in, it was amazing. The sound, the feel, and when you're at one of those live events and Tyrion and El Cesar are going at it, and holy shit, Tyrion's just pinned him. You can't get that feel and that sound from the camera, even though the audio and stuff is great. So there was so many great matches and such a great energy, and whether the athletes won or lost, they were all just having such a great time at the event. So I was very proud of the guys and all the behind the scenes work, and so much that goes into it that nobody could even understand unless you've done it. So, we pride ourselves on focusing on the athletes, giving the athletes the credit they deserve. I mean, without these badass athletes, the events are, what are the events? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The athletes are putting their time in and their sweat and for whether you're on the prelim card or you're the main event, you get a shirt, you get treated like you're a part of the team and a part of the event. And that's our focus, and you get a pay-per-view code, and any pay-per-views you sell, you get half of that. So overall, I'm very proud of Mac. We've only had 2 actual events, and I think they are improving each time. And I know in the future they're going to be even more streamlined and better. And Matthias is modest, but Matthias is a guru of production. So with his equipment and his Prem Stream service, pay-per-view service, the sky is the limit. So I was overwhelmed and very, very happy with the event.
So good. Did you have a favorite moment on the day?
Well, there's a couple.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's I'll just go because I was just talking. Sorry, guys. So I mean, there's a couple matches in general. Michelle Dugan and Danielle Evanson. Just the match in general, but the moment, like you just won't forget it. And that was one of those ones that the room was just buzzing, electric. They had an amazing left-handed match, and if you haven't seen it, you better check it out because it was great. The other one, I'm going to say 2 more real quick. I don't mean to talk so much. So the Brandon and John match, of course, that's amazing. And Brandon's one of my best friends. He's a training partner. And everyone is like, oh, John might have been an underdog, but anyone who is an arm wrestler, including Brandon, you don't take John Tyrion lightly. I don't care who you are. It's not like he never had a chance, obviously. So Brandon knew he had a very tough match, but the room was going crazy during that match. It reminded me, I don't want to say this like it's like this comparison, but it was kind of like when Devin held Levon for that second, and everyone's face was like, oh, this isn't Brandon just smashing him like potentially people thought. This is holy shit. So that feeling in the room and that feeling with the other athletes and myself included, it was amazing, and I was so happy for John, and his family and kids were there, and you could just tell how much that meant to him, that win, and that and one more match in the final main event, Rick Heidebrecht versus Wayne Withers, when I think Wayne was up 2-0, and Wayne had him in a centimeter from the pad, and somehow Rick pulled that back and got a win. Not just didn't get pinned, but pulled all the way. His arm was 160 degrees. He pulled it all the way back. The place went crazy. That was just another moment that Ian was grabbing the belt a little early, like it was about to be over, and Rick said, no, I'm not done here, young man. And it was amazing. So great prelim events, great 6-man round robin, which was really fun. But overall, just very humbling and amazing to be even just there as part of it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, he didn't leave much for Matthias and I, but
I'm so sorry, guys. You know what? I love you guys, and I'm so sorry.
but I do have. I said in another interview that the Rick Heidenreich comeback was the singular moment.
Yeah. If you're saying a moment, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
and where there wasn't anybody. First of all, the even though when you look and you scan the video, you see empty chairs. That was sold out. Like there was not an empty chair. It was just that guys, everyone loved standing up or headed to the bar or went to the like there. We couldn't fit any more people in, and I'm telling you, when Rick pinned Wayne and slammed the fucking table, which I've never seen. I've known him for 20 years. I've never seen him slam a table. Everybody lost their fucking mind.
Yeah.
They
But
lost their.
I'm gonna add to that, Ian. When the crowd backs you up, not just backs you up, when the crowd goes wild, it gives you, believe it or not, it gives you power, and it gets you not angry, but it gets you
Motivate.
to the intense mode.
Get you pumped, yeah.
So the crowd was going crazy. So I really, I'm not surprised that Rick went ahead and got all excited, smacked the table, just because you're in a good environment. It's the perfect polling environment.
The biggest shock for me, because I mean, I opened up by saying that Brandon was the obvious that you were the underdog, but I knew when I made this match, I'm like, he's not much of an underdog that I wouldn't make this match. And I also said to JJ, I said, if John stops this match, it will take everything. Remember that? And this was before I said it will take Brandon
100%.
If this stops, it will take everything that Brandon has to pin him. Because I was at your matches in Toronto, John. I was front row. I watched you. I was like, my God, that guy, like, I've been a fan for many years, but to see you live, you have tapped into your ancestral warrior spirit. Let me tell you, and awesome. I love guys that will go all out like that. The other big moment, though, when. Are you guys all basketball fans? Do you remember like the Vince Carter slam dunk competition in 2000? Does anybody remember that?
I was 4 years old.
Oh, okay.
I was 3.
I was 20 years old. Anyway, so he did one dunk, everyone went crazy. He did another dunk, everyone went crazy. But then there was this dunk where he put his elbow into the rim and he just hung there, and the crowd didn't know what they saw, and they were silenced, and everybody was in awe and what. All right. There was a moment like that. I wonder if any of you can remember, but the biggest shocker for me, where I was like, holy fuck, what did I just see? Was a Picton boy. Just Picton's like 30, 40 minutes from me. Eli Aki. He beat David Nicobades, okay? Which you would think that this wasn't close at all. We had so many people bail out on the match against David because nobody thought they were ready. Guys were like, "Oh, I'm not ready for David." Really big names. I won't put those guys on blast. Eli's like, I'll pull him. I'm like, Eli, like this guy is from the Gennady camp. He literally was trained from Georgia. Do you know what I mean? And he's from he got trained by Gennady, and he's a killer. The week before he won, didn't he not win the KOTT tournament? JJ?
Yeah.
This guy's a killer.
Yeah,
So
he won his class.
all of a sudden, he pins Eli, pins David, and the crowd didn't know what to do. They were like, we're all staring at each other. What just happened? Do you know what I mean? We're all like, what? What does this mean? Like a guy who nobody knows. Nobody know. Everybody knows David, right? Nobody knows this guy, and we're like, what's happening here? I also really enjoyed that moment. But Michelle Dugan, I thought, when you look at Danielle and you know how strong she is, she does strong woman stuff. Her passion's arm wrestling. You can tell she's starting to become a thicker, bigger, strong woman. And Michelle's not spring chicken, has to use a riser. And the fact that she won that match, and like that first match, she just flashed Danielle, and then lost the second match because Danielle really grinded it out. But then the Scorpion, being what she is, she was able to adjust. And I was just blown away because once Danielle won the second match, I thought it was over for Michelle. I don't know how you guys felt, but for me, I was like, okay, the bigger person, the younger person, the one that's training strength related sports is probably going to win this one. And Michelle just gutted it out and ended up winning the super match. So I see like, and then I mean, we're not even talking about what Jamie Staken did. Jamie Staken beat Brandon's left arm, which Brandon was favored in, and then he beat a guy from Quebec who is Andre Saint Germain, who is a national champion at the 240 class. I mean, they were wars. None of them were close, but I mean, Jamie Staken went 6-0. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's
fantastic night for him.
an
And
incredible
Jeremy's
night.
definitely on a different level for sure.
Then he was, eh? Yeah. Like he did
Than
good
people
again.
think he was.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Jamie's a lot stronger than I think people give him credit for. I think people are starting to know Jamie a little bit because he did lose to Kevin Caller, but Kevin Caller is a megastar right now in the United States. And Jamie was up, I think, 2-0 and just gassed out in that match. I would like to see that rematch today. What do you think? What do you think, JJ?
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
And so we had a lot of guys coming up and going out and making a name for themselves. And the theme is generally Canadian versus American, or a different country versus a different country, because we had a guy from Russia, we had a guy from Georgia, we have Americans. The event was in Canada, but when we did Mac 1 in the United States, there was probably more Canadians at that event than Americans, at least on the pay-per-view port. When we go out west, it's going to be, we got a lot of interest for John. After that performance, my DM is like blowing up, and people are like, can you get me a match with John? I'm like, you're not good enough. I'm like, call me in a year or two. No, I'm not
Yeah,
saying
but,
sorry,
but
Devin.
but I tell John as soon. I said, first of all, I mean, John knows what I've done for him in terms of other promotions. I want John to go out and conquer the world, and that just makes what he's done here just more legitimized. Like Mac is John, and all the athletes are not our athletes; they are our partners. You understand? And we want our partners to succeed. So if they can, use us as a platform to further their career, to get noticed on the bigger stages of other promotions, and go there and kick ass and make money, then we've done our job. And hopefully they feel and respect us enough to remember that. And when we need them and say, hey, we could really use you as a main event card, hopefully they'll be like, you know what, these guys really helped me out. Let me come back. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely fantastic. Matthias, your favorite moment from the event?
My favorite, I think the Michelle Dugan Danielle match, I think that's what kind of set the pace for the pay-per-view. I think that was my favorite, I think, still shot of the event is in the beginning of the second round Danielle's just kind of like screaming when she's trying to push the arm across. They're just kind
Yeah.
of like, yeah. So and I think that still's been posted a couple places. And I think that
Yeah.
for me, that's what kind of started to set the pace of the pay-per-view. And then obviously all the other matches kind of, it just kept going up and up and up. And then obviously the main event, people were screaming and yelling too, right? Like, yeah, like the same thing as everybody else said too. When Rick made that crazy comeback when his arm was like it was literally like it should have been pinned. It doesn't even make sense.
Just trying to find that moment here.
You know what, Matt? There is something I would like to address, and that a lot of people that said, "Hey, you know, you put a card together that had a lot of 3-0s." Okay, that's fair. If you were there, you'd know 90% of those 3-0s were incredible bangers. Like, you mean to tell me just because Brandon and John's match was 3-0 that was a match? That's crazy. That's crazy talk. Matt Smith and Dan Belfi went to fucking war. Matt Smith was a little stronger and he got the result to 3-0. But I'm going to tell you why Mac generally end in 3-0 or 3-1. It's because it's when you get to the table, and one guy's going to be generally stronger than the other. Now you're stuck with him. And because it's actually hard to foul out and it's easy to play within the rules, then you're stuck with a stronger opponent. And so it's very difficult to get a cheap win. If you look at a lot of inflated results from WAF style, take a look at them. A lot of times that 2-1 or 3-1 or 3-2 score, the guy who got the losses or that won, he lost his matches for stupid infringements because it's, maybe he moved in the referee's grip, or when he went too fast and his elbow came up on tear. You get what I'm saying? So then, winner this guy, when everybody in the fucking arena knows that guy didn't deserve a win. Do you understand? But the results are generally the truth. You know what I mean? As it is for that day. For that day, this person that gets the nod. I mean, there was a few 3-2s, a few 3-1s, but for the most part, the stronger person won the day.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be. Who's the better man or the better woman?
Oh,
You get
for
But
sure.
again, you can still use technique on the table, even though it's hard. There's next to no cheating. Let's say there's still a lot of techniques that you can use to gain advantage. Like, it doesn't remove all the techniques possible. You can still play the straps how you want it, to gain leverage, to hit a different angle. It doesn't change those factors. It just makes it harder to do the Allen Ford lift your elbow 20 feet up. Actually, he will get a foul in Mac because of that. But let's say I'm going to go back to Craig Tullier. Craig Tullier, he has so much side pressure and his little hits. And I see a lot of matches from Craig where he loses rounds just because his elbow, he can slide a paper underneath. On the Mac table, that would not happen.
Yeah.
So there's the benefits, but also, like, it doesn't change the fact that you can still play within the rules. There's still a lot of techniques that you can use to achieve the win.
Yeah, I just took a little offense to people saying, "Wow, there was so many 3s." I'm like, that's a shot at the promoter, the matchmaker. But I'm thinking to myself, so your match shouldn't have happened because that was such a crazy. I mean, give me a fucking break. You're the one that won, and everybody thought it was going to be Brandon. So what the hell are they talking about? And then Matt Smith and Dan. Matt Smith won 3-0. Do you know Matt Smith had never beaten Dan either arm ever up until that point?
I was very surprised at that, and I'm happy for Matt. Matt puts in as much work as, well, actually, he puts in more work than anyone I know, to be honest. And Matt is a very hard worker, and I'm very happy for him that he's succeeding like that. And
and he's really strong right now.
He is, and he's going to he's competing at Arm Gods, I think, next week against I think Connor Sells and another guy. So I'm hoping that he does great there, because he has the power behind him. We've seen him. Dan Belfi is definitely a very strong athlete. When he was way younger, I'm pretty sure he classed at WAF. So Dan Belfort is definitely no joke.
Didn't he have the record for being the youngest person to win a WAF title in the open division? Isn't that
I'm not
his?
exact. I'm not exactly sure what exactly he won, but I know he did win something at WAF, and yeah, that
And
was a great achievement.
he was very young. Like this guy, I hate admitting this, but years ago, he beat me in overall. That little guy there in the blue. And,
Ouch.
yeah, no,
So
he's Matt Smith.
Dan was bigger before. Now I think he's cut down in weight. He's 154 pounds now, but he was a little bigger and was cutting down. So he
Yeah,
did lose a little bit of strength, but he's still very powerful.
yeah. I mean, it was. I could not believe. Well, I shouldn't say I couldn't believe. I made that match because I believe in Matt, and that Matt had a chance. That's the way I was looking at it. I'm like, okay, the history says it's Dan, but Matt's been kicking ass and taking names. And I'm like, my thought process with you, John. There's no way that this is just going to be an annihilation for Brandon. I know he beat Alan Ford, but you're different, you know. And I figured if the match stops, Brandon, was in trouble, you know. And I didn't expect you to toggle hands like you did. And what really impressed me with you in that third match is when you were stuck, you know, when you were on your joint and he had taken your hand, and oh fuck, and I was like, oh no, and I thought maybe gonna bleed, but when I look at that match, I can see you like you're stalling, but your bottom of your hand started a bit of cup, and then you were starting to position your shoulder, so we knew the press was coming, and you were just biding your time, which means you're able to think under
Mhm.
extreme. You know what I mean?
That comes with experience. I pulled 12 super matches in the last 12 months. So the more I pulled, the better arm wrestler I become. The more patient I become on the table. The more versatile I become on the table. So like, I'm definitely not the most experienced arm wrestler yet, but eventually I will become very experienced. Just because I love pulling, and I'm not the type of guy that's going to pull once a year. I'm going to go out there as much as possible. And
Matt, 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 he pulled. Did you hear that? 12 super matches in 12 months, and he went undefeated. Can you give us beat?
That's
what's that, sir?
absolutely amazing.
Could you give us the list of the pullers you beat?
I can't touch my phone because I'm going to get kicked off again, and it's
Oh
going to
yeah,
take
yeah.
me 15 minutes to come back on.
I'll see if I can find it.
uh,
I'll see if I can find it in the background.
okay, sounds good. But I know I went to the matches before this was a four-man round robin, so kind of super match team. So I went against Matt King, which is the top 10 in North America. I beat him 2-0. I was best 2 out of 3. I went against Daniel Worley. Daniel Worley was a little heavier. He was 220. Very strong and very technical guy. So I managed to beat him 2-0. And then my first super match of 2024 was Artem Taranenko. I beat him 3-2. And then I went to Puerto Rico. I faced the top Puerto Rican guy. And then that's all I can remember for now. Yeah, there was East versus West qualifier. Robbie, I can't pronounce his last name.
Oh, yeah,
Carsten
with a K, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Gold Time does a good job, but it would be great if we had a really comprehensive website of database of everyone's matches and the history and that sort of thing. They're getting there, but I think it would be fantastic to have something like that.
I would say John's record has to go down as one of the greatest records that's ever existed. I mean, who would be better? Maybe Brzezinski or something, but 12, go 12 and 0.
I'm 15 in a row now. But I'll just say David Shamusha is the king of that.
Oh, yeah.
David Shamusha, I'm not sure what his record is, but he's the world champion, I think, like 12 times in a row. That's very impressive. And I'll kick his ass one day.
It wasn't all in 1 year.
100%.
That's
Yeah,
true.
but
Yeah, that's true.
yours was all in 1 year.
Ian, we've got a question here from Corey McPhee who says, because of the table and rule type, what does it fall under? Is it still professional? Is it IFA, WAF, or is it something else?
It's something else. We've debated calling it a different sport, like Mac arm wrestling. We haven't. The board hasn't really agreed or whatever on that thought process. But I look at it like if people think it's so different and the table is so different, then like jiu-jitsu is to Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You get what I mean? Like, freedom arm wrestling isn't WAF either, and sit down arm wrestling is different, and so does arm sumo and wrist wrestling. Do you guys remember wrist wrestling? That was like you put your off arm under, and you would hold your opponent's hand, and the idea was to pin on your own forearm. That's years ago, okay, but that was called wrist wrestling. I mean, I don't mind if people look at us as a totally different entity. We do have different skill sets that in order to be successful at Mac, you better know how to arm wrestle in the straps, and
See the way I look at it, it's a different federation kind of thing. Just because of the IFA, WAF has their own rule set, so they have their own rule set, table measurements, pad size. So Mac is totally different than that. So unless they say, "Oh, we love that table, we want to change our table," which I really highly doubt that's ever going to happen.
right.
I think Mac is just going to be its own version of IFA and WAF eventually down the road. Sorry for cutting you off, Ian.
No, it's fine. I talk forever, but I appreciate it. But the other thing, when people were talking about like why can't we just stick with the table and just say go? Why are we making so many iterations? Is because it's not like when John made the suggestion to make some adjustments that he was doing it in a malicious way or trying to make us feel bad. I take that as a guy who sees potential in this and wants it to improve, and this is how he thinks we can go about improving the table. That's actually very critical to what JJ, Matthias, Andrea, and I are trying to achieve. You know what I mean? And we need feedback from the top level pros to say, you know what, this is really cool, but what if we adjust this? You know what I mean? This was better, and that's what we want. And the fact that guys get on there forget that they're on a, a Mac table or something different, that's beautiful. You know what I mean? But like I said, you know what doesn't happen? You ever see this in a match? The guys are putting pressure on the one side of the pad, and then the fucking elbow pad pops 6 inches into the air, and now you know what I mean? Or all kinds of fuckery. Or the guy is basically off the pad, but what he's done is he's taken the edge of the pad and he's flattened it to the tabletop, so he's not technically on the pad, but he is. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't happen with us. And what does happen, we're fixing. So if something different happens that's not kosher, then we fix it, and we just keep coming out with the iterations. But in 30 years, the big difference in table adjustments that WAF made was they went from fucking straight pads to this. That's the big revelation.
And I'm just going
Absolutely.
to add the only person that's not going to benefit from the Mac table really it's the Kings movers. And if you really pick at people's mind, not many people likes the King move unless you're the one King's moving.
Right?
So I think who cares? I guess there's been a lot of talks. Like I've seen a lot of podcasts. They're trying to find a rule set that's going to allow is this straight arm? Is it a dangerous position? Well, this cancels it completely because if you do try to go at this level of arch, you will be pinned. So
Yeah.
it is a solution to cancel that out completely. So again,
Yeah.
there's
But
no argument.
like you said, I think IFA, WAF, they're so ingrained in that their belief is this. Well, I don't know too much about IFA, so I won't speak on that. But my involvement on the WAF is that they're not interested in. They have
Which
a
I don't blame them.
a style, and they're like, you need to adjust to us, and that's it. And when you see referees and they're constantly moving guys' shoulders and straightening wrists, and it's taking 20 hours, it's because they have a system. Even though the pullers don't like it, they want the freedom to do what they want. They won't start that match until the referees are happy. In Mac, we're like, it's your match. The referees, are you happy? You're happy with that? You don't care about thumb knuckles? If the guys agree, fucking go. It's your match. You understand? And so that's why things go, because if you're happy with how the start's going to go, you're probably going to go instead of causing all kinds of problems. And you understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I'm loving about the Mac style of promotion is that if the competitors are both happy and they both want to start like this, just let them start. Like,
Yeah,
why change them?
Yeah, then they're not going to complain that, oh, the ref straightened my wrist and I was at a disadvantage. If you both say, yeah, we're good with this, that's it. When you're done, there's no complaining that something wrong happened. You were happy with how you felt. The start happened. And even if you don't say we're good with how it's starting, you're still starting fair. The ref's closing you at the same time and go. There's not a lot of dicking around.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like the person that complained about the refereeing at the time it was happening was actually Brandon, and I don't think he really got his point across to. But I'll tell you why.
That was an
It's
obvious mistake from the refs.
but okay, I get it, but here's the thing. It's a kind of a mute point, and I'll tell you why. Because regardless of whoever he lets go first, it doesn't matter, because if I let go, the next movement is to grab your wrists. So at that point, if he was low, he can adjust to come high on his own, right? And then it's close your thumbs, close your hands, go. The holding of the thumb or the fingers is only meant to make sure that the webbing is equal when the straps go on. Do you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah, so I think the reason behind the complaint was he thought because he would let go of my hand first that I would just climb up before. But so what you're saying is after he lets go of the hands, then they take the wrists and then make them close again. I just think in the process, maybe he was thinking that they were not going to bring the wrists together again. So he was just he was being an athlete. He was fighting for whatever he could, which I don't
yeah,
see any problems with that.
no,
But it was just an obvious
I
kind of
yeah.
the ref
People,
could have let go at the same time.
but the people are making a big deal of something that technically doesn't really matter, because at the same, regardless if I go 1-2, once I,
Mhm.
once I grab your wrist, neither of you have your hands down anymore. You could both do this, and then I just say, close your thumbs, close your hands, go. So it had no real bearing on on the hands closing, because he's not going to
That's
hold
true.
hands while you're closing your hands. Do you get what
Mhm.
I'm
So
saying?
I
Oh yeah.
think some of that, is some of old some of the other promotions refing or rules are still ingrained in your head, you know what I mean? And you're not used to the fact that, oh wait, he's not just holding my hands down, he's going down to the wrist. So I think it's just automatic in that moment in the battle. One of the athletes sees the ref holding their hand and not the other, so it's just automatic to say, "Hey, that's not proper or fair." But when you think about it, like you just explained it, Ian, as soon
Mhm.
as the ref let go of Brandon, whether it was first or second, he could close his hands where he wanted it again.
Yeah. So it's exactly what you're saying. I think Brandon got caught up because in a ref script that does matter. Do you get
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
yeah,
it does,
yeah.
but
Right, right.
the, but at the same time, when we come to here, like how your angle is, if both of you say you don't care about thumbs, then once those hands close, he could put it anywhere he wanted, and both of you um, utilize that high grip. I mean, but I don't know if you noticed, John. I'm sure you watched the match a few times. one of the reasons we're reclining the elbow pads a little bit back is because you guys both wanted to be so high, your arms were almost vertical on the setup.
So
As
that's just in the moment, like in the moment in the match. That's one of the main reasons why I told you that I couldn't feel the webbing, like
yeah,
the stitching in the front. That's one
yeah,
of the reason I would really like seeing another thickness of webbing in the front, just so you know where to stop. Because I'm
Yeah.
in my brain while I'm pulling, I'm not only thinking about the webbing, I'm thinking about the whole situation. So I'm going to try to get as forward as I can to gain as much leverage as possible.
yes,
But in the moment, I don't see the stitching. So that's why we end up so close together. We're just both fighting. But if there is a webbing big enough that we feel it, then we know, oh, that's the limit. Just like when you're on the normal pad, when you feel your elbow being on the edge, that's your warning. Oh, okay, I'm there. I can't go any more forward. So the same principle, but it would just be not webbing, stitches, a
The
little
yeah,
thicker
stitching. Yeah.
to let you know
yeah,
that you're
yeah.
there.
And
Oh,
John, I'm gonna do
oh,
it. We're
sorry to cut you guys off. I gotta take off, guys.
Oh, okay.
All
Thanks
right,
for coming on,
all
mate.
right.
Great to see you.
Stay powerful.
Nice, Matthias.
Now you're playing with power. 100%.
Yeah.
The stitching is going to get thicker. Uh, where the material of the pad itself is going to be tighter, and we're going to recline it a little bit. I don't like reclining it because I love the idea of the massive pads, but I also thought about it, and it was like, if imagine you're Jerry Caderet, and if your elbow is so close, like he might go undefeated forever. Do you know what I mean? So let's keep the standard in terms of the distance between elbows, so that everybody can utilize all. I don't know. I just thought it was a bit odd that both of your arms are so vertical.
It did.
And
I don't think it did any relevant. Like
yeah,
I don't think it changed the outcome of the match really.
no, 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 no. But you're both doing it. You're both doing it. So there's no, it's
No,
like it.
exactly.
Yeah. So no, no.
And
Um,
and we're not in a dangerous position either. So like I don't personally see any problems with that.
okay. So in your estimation, we should keep it at 9.5. You think?
I personally like don't count just my opinion, obviously. But I personally I didn't see a difference during the match. Like I felt very comfortable where I was starting. I'm pretty sure Brandon was feeling comfortable where he was. Like I didn't hear any complaints about being too close. And again, it's not dangerous starting closer together. So I don't think that's too much of a factor.
Okay. All right. Well, JJ, it's something to think about, man. Like, because
Mhm.
I, you know, uh, we're certainly going to.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think what John's saying is correct, but but like you said, Ian, there are going to be styles that are different than Brandon's and John's. There's no problem with both these guys being close and up high, but how about the matches where someone is trying to press or they're way over the center because they're still in bounds? Those are the ones that you got to consider. A half an inch might be better, but we obviously have to talk about it.
Yeah.
I did like this question here for Ian. Carnegie has a very pleasant candor, which is a nice compliment. Anyways, this is from Andrew Wood. Anyways, what does the current iteration of the table evolution look like? I miss the open source style of design the Mac table used to have.
Oh, okay. So the original Mac table actually only ever made it to the tabletop and is a wall monument. We knew immediately that it couldn't be functional as a arm wrestling table, but it was our basis. Okay. Um, I uh, I would say it was the same width as a Mac, or sorry, as a WAF table, but the corners were extremely cut off. Like we're talking 12-degree radius. All right, and each iteration of the table that corner, we kept adding less degrees. So basically, it's just a curve now. You know what I mean? Just enough so guys aren't cutting their their off arm, and enough that it allows. I don't know if you know about our legs, but our legs are like an A frame, and it's done for a couple of reasons. One, you can't have vertical. We wanted the base to be the same as WAF in terms of distance, but from pole to pole. But you can't do that if the corners are gone. So, and the unintended benefit of that is it's more comfortable to wrap your leg on a leg that's angled, because our legs aren't like this. We stand like that, right? So then when you wrap your leg, you got the one leg that's vertical, that leg comes over. So if it's on a vertical thing, that's less comfortable than if the if the bar is moving on the same, you get what I mean, in the same angle as your leg, right? The only downside I would say is once we took the padding, there's padding on the bar. Once we took that off, because we had to take it off to put the riser down, and
And
once
for
we did,
me,
oh, we don't do that. But then it became slippery for people to put their foot on the pole because of that angle. Now their foot was sliding a bit. So now we just have to figure out what's the better way to put that pad on that doesn't take 5 minutes to take off. You get what I mean? We have to find a more of a quick release so that we can put that pad on and guys can put their foot up against it and it'll be solid. You know what I mean?
maybe if you put some clips inside, not a Velcro. Velcro would just rip off, but like little clips, let's say, and you just clip it in, just to prevent it from moving too. Because if you notice, I often lift my leg up and literally push against it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I asked you to take the pad off, just because I would have hit my face on the table if that would have started spinning around. But yeah, there's definitely a way to make that work.
It's another part of R&D, my friend. We'll make it work and we'll figure out how to do it and get it done correctly, but because it's your match, a lot, how many people in WAF, if they said, hey, take this pad off, the referees would be like, no, the pad stays, right? But
Yeah.
you're like, hey, move the pad, we're like, fuck yeah, it's your match. Do you know what I mean, Matt?
Yeah,
Like, whatever.
which the pad benefits people that wraps their, like if you wrap your leg itself around the post, that's definitely awesome. Then you don't rip your leg and bruise your leg.
That's
So
right.
there is benefits to the pad for sure.
And if they told me to put it back on for their match, we would have obliged them. You know what I'm saying? But I got lazy. I'm like, fuck, I'm not doing this on and off, on and off. But that's what I'm there for, and JJ's there for, is to accommodate you guys. We want you to get to the table and feel as comfortable as possible. I call this table, I always joke around and say it's like a custom fitted condom. That's good. You know? And
Just for the fun of it, Ian, how many super matches do you have at the Mac 2?
so, okay.
It's like 20, I
So,
think.
so in
No, more, I
prelims,
think.
Yeah,
in
there's
prelims,
round robin as well.
in the prelims, we had 9 plus a 6-man round robin. I don't know how many matches are in a 6-man round robin, but it fucking felt like 100. Okay.
Mm.
No, it did. Like I kept thinking, it's got to be over now, right? No. We were supposed to do 2 rounds because I thought, because of Max style and how fast it goes, I thought they'd run through it too quickly. But then when we looked at the time, I was like, oh shit, we're half an hour away from pay-per-view, and there was adjustments that we needed to do from the free live stream to the pay-per-view. So half an hour was pushing it, but I'm glad we didn't do 2 rounds. Could you imagine? Those guys' arms would be fucked. They were
Oh yeah.
so there was whatever a 6-man round robin is plus 9, then 21 super matches. So 20, what's that? 30 super matches plus a man round.
Yeah, so if you didn't have so many super matches, like in the future, I'm sure you're gonna cut down on the event, like on the matches a little, just to make it even more appealing to the mainstream or TV eventually, maybe. So going back to your removal of the pad, if you only have 15 super matches, it's no problem. You won't get lazy then. But when you have
Right.
30, 35 freaking super matches, no shit, on
Yeah.
up, on up.
You're
That's
right. In
incredible.
fact, we were talking about this. If we went to a 15 super match event, we would have to utilize a lot of filler. Like we'd have to drag out stuff. Like the announcer would maybe Earl Wilson, 22-time world champion, 15-time provincial champion. You know what I mean? And then lights and have like draw. Instead of you just coming through a curtain, maybe we have you filmed walking downstairs a hallway, then through the curtain, and drag it out a bit, because 15 super matches max style, we could have that done in an hour and a half. And then it's like some people might have a little bit of a problem with that. You know what I mean? You don't want to have guys pay for something and they feel like it's done over in a blink. So there's a sweet spot. I think 2 hours, 2.5 hours is probably it. So I think if we did prelims and main card and it was a total of 20, we could do that in 2.5 hours, 3 hours. You know how I know? That's what it was at Mac 1, and that's how long it was.
Got a good question here from Aaron Castillo. He says, are you guys planning to have a Mac event anywhere near the West Coast?
Yes.
The west coast of Canada.
Well, yeah, it's
too cold there.
Far, I won't say. I mean, in terms of the United States, it's pretty close to Manitoba or Montana. So if that helps you guys out, but the thing is we're not going to announce anything big yet, because we, as a company, and we have a lot of stuff that we have to sort out, and we want to be fair to our partners, all the collabs we're doing. I can say this: we are moving forward with two events in March that are. One's just a Mac tournament, okay, and that's going to happen. I believe. I'll let you talk about that, JJ. Go ahead.
Yeah, the one he's talking about, that's actually at my club in Rochester, New York, and that's going to be on March 29th, and we're going to have a handful of super match to kick it off, and then a tournament afterwards. A Mac event with Mac tournament, Mac tables, Mac rules. So that'll be on March 29th.
And then before that, on March 8th, we're doing we call it the Mac Tough event, because Tough is a team arm wrestling federation, and that's run by the Table Monkeys, Jason Constantini. And when Mac started, we started around the same time as this Tough idea, this team concept, and we both jointly loved each other's and we were like, you know what if we ran this team style with Mac rules and Mac tables? I'm like, I fucking love it. It's just another thing that Mac can offer, and it'll put eyes on the team concept. Wait till you see it. March 8th, like we're doing pretty cool on the production side, but this guy, he's gonna have like a giant projection screen where the guy's photo is going to be there, all his stats, and then because it's a team concept, it's like a win isn't just a win. So Matt, you say you pin me in a flash. If you get a flash pin, I think that's like a 6-point win. If you do a flash and I elbow foul, that elbow foul counts as a negative point against me. So your flash pin is now 7. Now me and you are in a grinder. I get a foul, you get a foul, whatever. And the win is less valuable, if you get what I mean. So it makes everybody try to be as perfect as possible, because everything matters, and then it's a team total. You get what I mean?
Point system. It's a point system, not just a win and a loss, right?
Each
So
round.
what happens, like the hits? That's a very important question for me. Every hit, do you lose or gain a point?
No, it only matters, like, okay, so say for a regular win, it's 5 points. Okay. So you said you kept hitting and you win, that's 5 points. Now, if you would have hit one time and they deemed it as a flash pin, you get an additional point. Now, if you hit me in a flash and I caused an elbow foul at the time of pinning, now that's an additional point. So that's 7 points, right? But say me and you are in a grinder, and because you fouled, I fouled, then they tally the points on all the infractions, and maybe your win is only worth 4 points or 3 points because maybe you won but you had 2 fouls. You get what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
and
Very
then that
interesting.
only the winner gets the points. That's the thing. So it's just how much points do you get for your win? Is it a max 7 or the lowest maybe 2 or 3, right? Um, and the other thing is each round. So the team captain, like say you're the team captain of Ontario, because we were actually going to talk to you about that. I think no, Ontario's going to be team captain. I think it's Tyler Bozan. But maybe if you want to jump into this, it might be something you'd be interested in, John.
To represent Quebec.
Yeah, representing
Yeah, what the fuck?
Ontario. Anyway, and so what they do is they look at the round will come up, and you'll say, okay, left-handed 0 to 60 class. Under that, the next round will be super heavyweight right-handed. Next one after that is middleweight left hand or something. It's completely random, right? Then you
So
see. So hold on. So you see
yeah,
these categories for both, and there's no names beside it at that point. The team captains bring everybody, and they say, okay, who are we putting in left-handed? And it's a guess game. So until the time runs out, which is like 2 minutes or something per round, the 2 minute bell goes on. Then all the pictures of the individual athletes per weight category shows up, and you get to find out who you're matched up with right there. You know what I mean?
so
So it's
when
fun.
you're part of when you're part of the team like that, do you have to pull right and left? Is it, or there's just a right hand, let's say, event? Just because my left is just as good as Rand Bowen's left, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the point is
Awful.
put the best possible candidate, or you try to guess what they're gonna do and who. Like for me, when I was there, when it said super heavyweight right-handed, guess who got 90%? It was me, right? And because the other team knew I was on the other team, they were like, "Well, who's our best guy to go against them?" So they threw Rick at me 3 times, and to give Rick a break, they threw Zach Shadrick against. But you know, but other weight categories, like I went super heavyweight left because I beat Rick, and then I put myself in there again, and they threw Tyler Bozan, and Tyler beat me left-handed. See, you get what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
it's you know, you can go up. Like if you wanted to pull supers, you can do that. Just supers can't do the opposite.
There you go. We got an interesting comment here from James M. He says, "Whenever getting into the Olympics or anything big, I'm okay with that." Followed on from the sport is too exhausting for the event. This is one of the things, James, is that we're seeing guys like Ian, JJ, John Terry, and Matthias. They're putting on different events. They're putting on different ideas and different tables, different rule sets. We're seeing a progression in what does the audience want to see and how can we best present it so it's the most entertaining and the most viewable for people who are non-arm wrestlers, that you could hold up a video in front of them and go, have a look at this, like this is an arm wrestling match, check it out, and they watch it and they understand what's happening, and within 30 seconds they're a fan of arm wrestling. That's what we're trying to get to. And so by doing all these different rule sets, different table designs, that the sport is in that evolutionary period where it's like, what is it that everyone, like, what is the best way to present this sport to people who are non fans?
It's not our responsibility. It's not Mac's responsibility to take it upon ourselves to say, okay, we're going to come up with the formula that gets us into the Olympics. Listen, as long as
Well,
I've
it's
been
gonna be
in
the
the,
start of it.
what's that, sorry?
It's at least gonna be the start of it. So you're starting. I'm seeing you guys at least giving hope for confidence to change because people are scared of change, and I think
Yeah.
what you guys are doing is totally amazing for that reason.
Well, I thank you, but what I'm trying to say is, Matt hit it on the head. Where I'm trying to get people to like the sport. Period. Like, watch this. Do you agree with it? Do you like what you see? Maybe you get involved now. You know what I mean? And entertained. But it's not Mac's responsibility to get us into the Olympics. If it happens, then so be it. It's because there was enough interest generated from the masses that says, but where I think this guy's comment, maybe I'm making a mistake here, is he's concerned that we're not standardized, and that maybe would discredit us from, or take away the opportunity to get the Olympics. Is that what he's complaining about? Or
I think he wrote the comment at the time we were talking about how many matches were on the card. So maybe he's just saying that it can be exhausting for the audience to watch. But the important part to note is you had that many matches. However, it was split into two different sections, where there was the preliminary event, which was available for free on YouTube. And then you had the pay-per-view event as well. So it wasn't that somebody went and had to watch 7 hours of arm wrestling. It was like, well, no, this is the prelims. You can watch this if you want.
Yeah,
it's for free. It's available. Yeah. It's got fantastic arm wrestlers on it. Yeah. Then we have the pay-per-view.
It only took 3.5 hours for the 20. Like there was, it might have been on for 4 hours or a bit, but we had some technical difficulties where we had, some downtime. But really, like if you're exhausted for watching 20 matches or 21 matches, and in 3.5 hours, well, I would say take Geritol or something, and get vitamins into you. Because I love East versus West. I literally flew to Turkey. I was there, but I needed Geritol because I was pissed because do you remember that match between Schoolboy and Titus? I was waiting for that, right? And I fell asleep because of watching. No, I swear to God, and this is not a knock. I was in the stands, but remember, we started at 8 p.m. and it finished at 3 in the morning, and that's only 13 matches. So whenever that match, I was like, doing the fast job because it's 11 or 12 at night, and then I fell asleep, and I woke up to everybody going crazy because Leonidas won. And I'm like, I fucking missed that. I'm here, and I missed. You know what I'm saying? And JJ knows, like, he's at enough live events when it's WAF style rules. If you hear a guy yelling at the referees for no apparent reason from the crowd, it's just random shit. It's me. No, seriously, at KOTT, and I was like, holy fuck, get on with it. I want to watch this match. I don't care about the referee. I do not care that he feels that everything in the world has to be perfect for this. Let these motherfuckers go, and all you could hear is me, get on with it.
Just say go.
He's not going to do that anymore, though.
No, I know. I'm so passionate. I look at it like they're ruining our sport. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they're ruining our sport by fucking taking forever. I mean, if I'm tired of it and I love this sport, what is the non-arm wrestler? He's like, what in the fuck? Get on with this. Or they're going to just flick the flicker and get on to the next episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whatever.
But see, you can't hate on like the refs or the other promotion. They're just they're following their own base rules, right? And
yeah, exactly.
Some people might like that better. Some people will like Mac better. So like it's not for everyone. There's gonna be some Mac haters. There's gonna be some Mac lovers. There's gonna be some WAF haters. So like you cannot please anyone. That's one thing that's for sure. But I think your table is very pleasing, and it's gonna get most of the people on board.
John, okay, you are right. However, can I be honest with you? My honest opinion is I am staying true to who I am. I have never liked this. Yeah. I got it for 20 years. I've complained about it. Mm-hmm. In year 12 of my being in the sport, I did MLA, and it had rule changes. I went to a 3-foul system. I went to a running foul system, and I had the bigger pads because I knew that what was happening in front of me wasn't be viable for, so I've stayed consistent, so even when I'm competing at these leagues, I was not the most nicest guy. Like, can you just fucking say go? Like, as a competitor, do you know what I mean? Like,
I totally get that point of view. Like, I do agree. I like the macros personally. But again,
John,
there is some people that's gonna
I
stick
get
with
it.
it.
And I'm not trying to shun those people. There's 100,000 other leagues out there that run it just like that. If that's your
Mhm,
preference, please exit stage right. I don't mind and or give a fuck.
mhm.
Okay, but
Yeah,
what
for sure.
I in here, I don't. If you're like-minded and you want to enjoy that, that's fine. But when
Yeah,
people
exactly.
talk, why haven't we gotten to X? Well, you know, people, it's not like I'm the only one in the world that has been complaining about how fucking long WAF events take, or the fact that they don't bring their family to a tournament anymore because they don't get out of there till 3 in the morning. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like a
Oh,
lot of
that's a good
things,
point for sure.
so in my estimation, I've stayed true to myself. I respect what they do. I'm not trying to eliminate what they do. I'm just saying, okay, my mother told me, don't be the guy that bitches and complains and does nothing about it. If you're going to bitch and complain, put your money where your mouth is and go fucking make change. I'm doing both things.
It's a good
Yes,
advice.
yes, I am complaining, but I'm not the peanut gallery just sitting here, you know, fucking making, well, that's fucking bullshit. Why don't you change that and then do nothing about it? I literally invented a fucking table and a rule set to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, hey, for those of you who like this style of pulling, here's an option for you. For
Yes,
those of you,
exactly.
for those of you who could care less about Mac and love the anal retentive ways of WAF, there's KY jelly exit stage right. All right. So that's fine. And guess what?
Mhm,
I will I ever compete and WAF style event? Of course I will. Of
mhm,
course I will. I do, it's what I was raised on. And can I be honest with you? It's so funny, but my pulling style, the way I pull style, it favors me to be a WAF puller, just because for 20 years I did it this way. So all this
yeah.
other stuff actually doesn't favor me, right? Because people say, oh, Ian's a hooker. This is going to be, I'm like, actually, I'm not a hooker. I'm a high hook presser. I beat top rollers because of I hit their rotation immediately with a shoulder press. I actually lose to hookers that are better than me, like pork chop. Why do I have a hard time? Because when I go down, he turns me inside, keeps me outside my shoulder, and I'm not actually as strong as people think I am this way. They see me, they see me win this way, like they in an internal movement, but think
Mhm,
it's not. You get what I'm saying?
mhm.
So
So
I
going back to the conversation we were having, I'm just saying, it's not going to be for everyone, and
yeah.
it's going to take time. It's going to take time for people to accept that there's something new. Like I was saying earlier, a lot of people don't like change. They like
Yeah.
seeing the same shit all over again. But you're right. Every sport has evolved, and arm wrestling hasn't really evolved until some you came up with a new table, new rules. I think it's amazing personally. Some people won't like that because it's a change for them. But eventually, if they try it, they'll see that it's freaking awesome. So it's definitely going to take time, but I think you're definitely you guys are in the right direction.
You know who Neil Pickup is, obviously, right?
Yes.
So Neil, I really loved my first, uh, open doors to professional arm wrestling, like big level, main stage, overseas kind of was Arm Wars. Do you remember you've
Mhm.
done Arm Wars? You do Arm Wars too, don't you, John?
That's what put me on the map, basically, for sure. Thanks to Neil.
Yeah, same as me. Okay, it was many years before you, but uh, he came up with something different. He started the running foul system, okay, and he also did tape delay so that he could edit the matches and have a better product to give to the viewing audience. Now
Mhm.
understand that point. He wanted the viewing audience to have the best possible product, okay. Why do you think it was? So he could get it into the Olympics? No, it's because he wanted to the masses and out there in a professional manner that people would pay to consume it, whether it's asses in seats or eyes on TVs. Okay, whether it's a paying ticket at the door or a pay-per-view model. Okay, that's exactly what Mac is trying to do as well in a different format. That's it. So when going back to the Olympics thing, listen, would if the Olympics, if the IOC knocked on my door tomorrow and JJ's door tomorrow, would we have a sit down? Fucking of course we would. Of course, but it's not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to the athletes who want to have fun because we play a children's game as adults. Why? Because it's fun and it's meant to be fun. That's what sports are. That's why kids play sports. We just enjoy doing it as adults. Two, because if you're good at something, you should be paid for it, right? So if you're really elite and then how do we get that? How do we get the athletes to be paid? Well, revenue sharing, and eventually, maybe if we're lucky and we have enough guys that jump on board with us, we get that TV money, that TV revenue. All right. But let's say it never comes to TV and it's just pay per view. Imagine a guy like Schoolboy. He decides to pull Mac. Okay. Sarah Bachman. Um, Schoolboy's brother. Big media presence. And now we tell them, guess what? For every pay per view sale you make, you get 50%. Now imagine it's not a $10 pay per view, it's 15 or 20. So every fucking time they sell a pay per view, they get $10. They have a million plus followership. If they got 10% of that, they just made an annual salary in one event.
Plus
That's
their
why
base pay.
plus whatever the base pay is, you know what I mean? I mean, in some cases, you know, like I'm not sure until we actually make some serious, we might not be able to attract a Schoolboy because maybe he asked for 10,000 right off the hop. But if we had sponsors, maybe we could give him a decent base pay. Plus, I mean, after first show and he sells say 250,000 pay-per-views, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he laughs at our 10,000. He's like, you know, keep your money. I like this pay-per-view revenue stuff more. You know what I mean? So it really depends where we're at. You know, there's a few things that are in the talks. There is a potential car manufacturer conglomerate that's actually looking at us. So that might be a game changer. We Mac has got to get a few things tightened up, and once that is, we'll have a sit down, and maybe maybe we can start paying guys a little bit more. But hey, we're not there yet. We're only at Mac. You get what I'm saying? What's Mac's big?
And the way you're doing it, it all depends on the athletes. If they put in the work to advertise and try to sell themselves for the promotion and for the public. If you are silent and do not do anything, obviously you're not going to do so well. So it's going to encourage pullers to develop a character for themselves, which I did throughout these super matches. I was a shy guy when I first started. If you look at my first Arm Wars interview, it sucked very bad. I did not know what to say. I didn't feel confident, right? So it's definitely a character that you build on going on with time. And like I said, having the money behind your thoughts, it doesn't force you, but it gives you incentive to do better.
Well, John, I'm telling you, I have a lot of faith in you. One, like you talk about your progression and your interviews and stuff like now you're fine. You talk well, you're well spoken, you have good ideas. The other thing is too, people know you're truly a humble person. Like you're very humble. You understand, like even when you beat um Brandon, you could have when you got the mic, you could have been like, I told you all, you hater. You could have done that, but you didn't. You were like, you know what? I wasn't even sure that was going to happen. I, wasn't the most confident guy. You were very humble, and I'm telling you, I bet you, like, even Brandon has to tip his hat off to you, because you were just such a, like, you were a warrior and you were a little cocky in the moment, but that's fucking okay because that's what we want to see in the entertainment side of the house when you're pulling. But when it's said and done, you know, you were honest and humble, and you opened up, and people will fall in love with you because of that. That's what Devin is. Think about it. Devin's a asshole, or like, and I can say that because I'm good friends with him. Right? He's miserable, right?
I would not want to pull him on the table because just his trash talk would probably beat me.
Yeah.
Never mind pulling. I'd lay down like fuck that guy. He hurt my feelings.
I'll tell you something. Exactly, right? But done, win, lose, or draw, he is the most humble person. I'm going to say this, though, because too many people are calling me and telling me this. Put all your money on Devin versus Connelly. Apparently, like, Pork Chop can't even beat him using 2 arms right now.
Oh,
like-
inside scoop.
He's like, Devin is, I don't know, he's hit a different gear. There's something going on. He's like, he's alien right now. Like, I'll tell you something. If he continues this way, I actually believe there'll be a Devin Larrett versus Levon 3. I believe it.
Wow.
It'll never happen again. It's over for me. But I mean, if he's literally stronger now than he's ever been.
So did he put some weight back on? Because I know he lost. He was almost my weight. That was very scary. So did he gain weight again?
John, hope so.
Yeah, right.
He's not just like crushing like 1,000 calories, or you know what I mean? Like, he's doing it like more natural. Plus, you know what? He is almost 50 years old. Your metabolism does slow down eventually. You know what I mean? So gaining weight.
I think he's back up near 270.
Oh wow!
How do you know?
Holy shit!
Yeah.
It's the maple syrup and the poutine.
The poutine, yeah. That, you know what? Or how do Americans say poutine?
Poutine.
Poutine.
You know what poutine is?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what. I don't. The only Putin I know is in Russia.
Yeah. Matt Connelly, do you know what poutine is?
Yeah, man. I used to live in Vancouver.
Oh fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Okay, so
awesome.
for people that do not know what a poutine is, a very simple meal, and you will love us when you try it. You put French fries, you put cheese, and freaking gravy. And if you want to go fancy with it, you put buffalo chicken throughout it. It's the best goddamn fast meal you'll
You're
ever
making
get.
it sound good. It does not look good.
Oh,
It's cheese from a can. It's that squirting cheese.
Listen, yeah. You need, the best one is cheese curds. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, aren't there chunks in it?
Okay.
Curds?
And there's 2 types. I prefer, some people like that light gravy, the light brown. I like that sweet, dark, thick gravy. Okay, you put that on it. I'm telling you, you should
Ian, you're
start.
gonna confuse people. Just stick with
you made it
French
sound
fries.
really good, John.
Is this an arm wrestling show or a cook show? Yeah. All right.
So the poutine will give you poutine power, which is what Devin is currently doing. So this was all relevant to the arm wrestling world.
Yes, you know what?
Exactly.
Whatever John is eating, I'm going to listen to him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're way up north there. So do you eat a lot of game? Like, are you a hunter, wild meat at all?
No, I don't have time. I work so freaking much, and with the kids, I basically just eat normal people's food, like American food, which is definitely not healthy. I'm not. That's a poutine right there in the video, people. Amazing. So I had that for lunch today, and then tonight I made some omelets. So just whatever. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a huge diet freak. I eat whatever's in front of me.
So you're on a seafood diet. You seafood, you eat it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm all set then.
Well, we might
So, like,
look at. Oh, sorry, you go.
So some people like they see me eat McDonald's before a match and they think I'm totally crazy, and then they come and tell me I would not be able to pull tomorrow if I had ate McDonald's. I'm like, it's
John,
Oh,
the at the conference before the Brandon match, you come in with your family eating a bag of fast food, and it was the best. It was the best part of the night. It was like, look at this guy. He's got the crazy match tomorrow. He's eating Wendy's or something the night before, and it was great.
I'm out of town. I can't cook my own poutine, so I settle for McDonald's. And guys, I have to let you guys go. Got to go to work early tomorrow. So thank you very much, Matt, for having me on. And thanks, JJ and Ian. Keep doing amazing work, guys.
John, we
Where,
appreciate you being on, and thanks for the kind words, buddy.
John, before we go, where can people follow you?
I have a YouTube channel, John the Savage, and Facebook. Yeah, follow me, and I really appreciate that.
Fantastic. Great to have you on the show.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
John.
Bye for now.
Right. I think Ian has fallen over, or his phone has.
Yeah, he fell off the couch,
He must
or
be waiting for that
Reddington.
schoolboy match.
Reddington pulled him off the couch. His
oh,
dog. Oh, there he
He's
is.
gone sideways.
can't really hear you guys.
Life alert.
My phone's about to die.
That's all right. Well, I thought we might wrap up everything there, but I definitely wanted to highlight one more time for everyone who's watching that Mac, a major arm.
I gotta
wrestling
go.
championships,
My
you
phone's
guys are
gonna
doing
die.
Amazing stuff. No worries.
All right, Ian. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Ian.
I'll close out the show for you.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, you guys are doing such awesome things. And as I said before, it's so cool to see a promotion trying new things, new rule sets, new table designs, trying to make it. It's like, is this formula going to work? And without innovation, everything just stagnates. And so congratulations to you guys for taking that step, for putting out not only the first Mac, but we've seen a fantastic event just take place. So everyone, please check out the Mac channel on YouTube and on Facebook. And great guys, and you can hear it right there from JJ, from Ian, that they take people's feedback. John was talking about some of the things he liked, it didn't like, and they're like, okay, straight away they wanted to make the changes. So these guys are willing and actively trying to make the sport as consumable as possible, and I'm a big fan. So
thank you, Matt, for saying that and having us on, and your review of Mac 2. So we will continue to do our thing. We already, literally, like you said, we have a new table being produced with some more improvements, and one of them including what Mr. Tyrion already suggested from the last tournament. So we will continue to do our thing. We appreciate everyone's support. And we're and I will say, everyone can have their opinion, and that's fine, and that's life. We don't take anything to heart, but try a Mac table if there's one near you. If there's an event near you, try to get to it. Try to get to one of these tables. We're having more of them produced. People are going to start having them and purchasing them, so they'll be around. So give it a try. See what you think of it after that. We are not reinventing the wheel. It is still arm wrestling. It's a little different, a little more streamlined, but it's a lot of fun. So thank you guys. Thank you, Matt. And we appreciate you guys.
thanks everybody. We'll end the stream there, and a fantastic night to all around the world. All right. Thank